In a quiet suburban town in Southern California, a 7-month-old baby was reported missing, leaving an entire community searching for answers. But as the inquiry continued, it became clear that the story of Emmanuel Haro was connected to something far more complex. Behind the headlines, a revelation surfaced that left those closest to the family deeply surprised. Rebecca Haro, Emmanuel's mother, had another family, a side of her life that her former husband and children had never known. For years, this part of her life remained hidden, creating two worlds that seemed difficult to imagine, yet impossible to deny. Now, for the first time, her former husband has spoken publicly, sharing details that had never been heard before. He discussed aspects of Rebecca's private relationships, children that had not been acknowledged, and choices that quietly shaped the home where Emmanuel was raised. Who were these family members no one knew about? What did they understand about her life? And how did these hidden chapters connect to the events surrounding Emmanuel? As investigators worked through the details, a complicated picture began to take shape, a web of secrecy, decisions kept in silence, and family dynamics that had long remained out of sight. These revelations left her former husband, her children, and the entire community facing questions no one expected. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we look beyond the headlines to uncover the hidden family of Rebecca Haro, the untold stories, the choices kept behind closed doors, and the truths that may finally help explain a story that has lingered in silence. Stay with us as we bring forward what was kept from view for so long, and the narrative that many thought they understood but didn't. But before we dive into this, kindly subscribe to our channel if you believe in fighting for justice. Because every view, every comment, every subscriber is a stand against silence and a step toward justice. We've just crossed 5,000 subscribers, all because of your support, and we need that same energy to reach 6,000, then 7,000, and then 10,000. So go ahead and drop your fingerprints on that subscribe button, and definitely where you're watching from, because wherever you are, the day this vision is fulfilled, I will send my appreciation straight to you. Let's keep building this community that stands and fights for justice together. Welcome back to DetectiveMax. Tonight we take you inside the case of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, an event that left an entire community searching for clarity. What began as a report of a missing child soon unfolded into a story far more complex than anyone expected. Behind the headlines and news coverage was a discovery that deeply surprised those closest to the family. Rebecca Haro, Emmanuel's mother, had another family, a side of her life that her former husband and children had never known about. For years, this part of her life remained out of sight, quietly shaping a household that on the surface appeared ordinary. But now, for the first time, her former husband has spoken publicly, sharing details that had never been revealed before, about private relationships, children few knew of, and choices that quietly influenced Emmanuel's world. As the inquiry moved forward, a complicated picture began to take shape, one of secrecy, family decisions kept hidden, and dynamics that stretched far beyond what anyone had imagined. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we bring forward the story of Rebecca Haro's hidden family, the untold accounts, the revelations, and the questions that continue to surround this case. Stay with us as we connect the pieces of a story that remained hidden for far too long. Behind closed doors, emotions can take many forms. Jake Haro, Emmanuel's father, carries a weight that few can fully understand, feelings he rarely speaks about publicly. In interviews, he remains careful and measured with his words, but in private he continues to reflect on the questions and emotions that shape his every day. He looks back on choices made, moments missed, and paths that cannot be changed. These are feelings kept out of the public eye, yet they are very real, a father processing emotions that remain deeply personal. Even as the legal process continues, and the public discusses the case, Jake's experience is private, quiet, and layered. It serves as a reminder that behind every headline and every courtroom development, there are personal stories and human emotions that extend far beyond what is seen on the surface. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we take a moment to acknowledge the private emotions of a father, feelings carried quietly, away from cameras and public attention, yet still part of the larger story of Emmanuel Haro. These are emotions not easily spoken about, but they influence every part of this case. For years, one side of Rebecca Haro's life remained unknown to her children. Her former husband and family were unaware of another household she had quietly kept apart. When the truth began to surface, it brought with it surprise, disbelief, and emotional weight. After 3 years of distance, one of her children, kept apart from her by circumstances not publicly explained, expressed emotions that could not be overlooked. In private moments, the child's voice carried the sound of missing their mother, reflecting the natural bond between parent and child, a bond interrupted by secrecy, distance, and unspoken realities within the family. Those moments were more than simple cries. They were reminders of the hidden impact of divided lives and quiet separations. They raised questions that many are still asking. Why was this separation kept hidden? What experiences were missed? And how did this distance shape the earliest years of that child's life? And then there are the children left behind, separated from their mother for 3 years, unaware of the fuller story of their family. When they were finally near her again, their voices revealed what words could not. A child calling for their mother, filled with confusion and need, reminded everyone that behind secrecy and hidden lives, there are young hearts quietly affected. That moment was more than emotion. It was evidence of the lasting impact of distance and hidden family dynamics. It highlighted a bond interrupted, a connection delayed, and the real effects of choices that were kept from view. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we reflect on the unseen consequences of long-kept family secrets. Beyond the investigation and the headlines, there are children whose stories are rarely heard, children who continue to seek understanding, stability, and connection. On August 14, 2025, what began as an ordinary day became a turning point for the Haro family. Rebecca Haro reported that while tending to her son Emmanuel, outside a Big Five sporting goods store, something unexpected occurred. When she regained awareness of her surroundings, she claimed that Emmanuel was no longer there. Authorities immediately launched a search, bringing together officers, volunteers, and search dogs to cover the area. But as investigators reviewed the scene, certain inconsistencies began to surface. Surveillance footage from nearby cameras showed details that didn't fully match Rebecca's account. Witness statements, instead of providing clarity, only raised more questions. It quickly became clear that this was not a straightforward missing child report. Something in the circumstances didn't align, and investigators had to look beyond the initial story. Every timeline, every statement, and every detail was carefully examined. As they did, patterns began to emerge, pointing to a case far more complex than anyone first imagined. Just over a week later, on August 22, 2025, the case took a major turn. Authorities placed both Rebecca Haro and her husband, Jake Haro, under arrest, with charges that included filing a false police report. Investigators then began piecing together a timeline suggesting that the situation surrounding Emmanuel may have started well before the report of an abduction. Jake Haro's past added another layer of complexity to the investigation. In 2023, he was convicted in connection with an incident involving his daughter from a previous relationship, which resulted in long-term challenges for her. Despite the seriousness of the case, he did not serve prison time, a decision that later raised questions about whether earlier intervention might have changed the course of events. As law enforcement gathered evidence, inconsistencies in the couple's accounts continued to surface. Every detail, from statements to timelines, was carefully examined. Authorities were determined to uncover the full truth about the Haro household and the events that surrounded Emmanuel. What had first appeared to be a case of a missing child was now evolving into a story marked by secrecy, conflicting accounts, and hidden details. As the inquiry deepened, another unexpected revelation emerged. Rebecca Haro had another family, a part of her life that her former husband and children had never known. For years she kept this chapter private, and when it came to light, it left those closest to her stunned. Her former husband spoke publicly for the first time, sharing insights that had remained hidden until now. He described relationships, household dynamics, and family decisions that no one outside of Rebecca's inner circle had ever known. The disclosure of this hidden family raised pressing questions. Who were these family members? What did they know? And how had these private connections influenced the environment in which Emmanuel was raised? Investigators began examining how these hidden aspects of Rebecca's life connected to the broader case. It became clear that understanding her undisclosed family ties was key to piecing together the full picture of Emmanuel's story and the circumstances surrounding him. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we explore the untold layers of this household, the long-kept secrets and the revelations that continue to echo through a community searching for clarity and answers. Even with these discoveries, one critical question remained unresolved. Where was Emmanuel? Search efforts were extensive, involving law enforcement, specially trained teams, and community volunteers. They searched remote areas, parks, and surrounding neighborhoods, determined to find any clue that could provide direction. Investigators focused on possible locations linked to Emmanuel, using every available resource to trace his last known whereabouts. But progress proved difficult, as concrete evidence was limited. Each lead had to be carefully assessed, every tip confirmed, and every detail studied in order to move the case forward. The absence of answers only added to the tension and concern within the community. Authorities stressed the importance of patience and precision, knowing that moving too quickly could compromise the investigation. Yet even amidst the uncertainty, one fact remained clear: the search for Emmanuel was not just about a location. It was about uncovering the truth behind a case that had already affected so many lives. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we follow the detailed investigation, the ongoing search for Emmanuel, and the unanswered questions that continue to surround this case. As the inquiry progressed, attention shifted toward the legal proceedings involving Rebecca and Jake Haro. Both faced serious charges, including filing a false police report, and were held on bail set at $1 million each. Their arraignment, scheduled for September 4, 2025, has drawn widespread attention, with the public closely watching every development. Legal experts have pointed to the complexity of the proceedings. Jake Haro's prior conviction in 2023 added an additional layer to the case, raising questions about accountability, whether earlier interventions could have changed the outcome, and the broader role of the justice system in protecting children. These issues have sparked renewed public discussion about safeguards, responsibility, and the ways in which oversight can influence the lives of families. Throughout this process, authorities have emphasized the importance of a fair trial and the careful review of all evidence. As the courtroom prepares to hear the case, the community remains focused on one key issue: seeking answers, understanding the circumstances, and ensuring that the truth is fully examined. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we break down the legal journey of the Haros, exploring what is known, what remains to be revealed, and how the proceedings may finally bring clarity to questions that have lingered for months. The Emmanuel Haro case has left a deep and lasting impression on the community. Across Southern California, neighbors and residents continue to reflect on the events and their meaning. Vigils have been held, memorials created, and gatherings organized, not only to show support for the family, but also to stand together in unity during a time of uncertainty. The revelation of Rebecca Haro's hidden family has added further complexity. Her former husband's disclosures brought forward aspects of her life that few outside her closest circle had ever known, leaving friends, neighbors, and even extended relatives surprised. People are now asking questions without simple answers. How could such secrets exist within the same household? What signs might have been missed? And how did these undisclosed dynamics influence the environment in which Emmanuel lived? Amid the challenges, the community has shown resilience. Residents have united not only to reflect on Emmanuel's memory, but also to promote awareness about child well-being, vigilance, and the importance of speaking up when concerns arise. The story of Emmanuel Haro is a reminder that the choices made within one household can have ripple effects that reach far beyond their walls, shaping the lives of many. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we reflect on how a community processes emotion, uncertainty, and the urgent demand for answers. From memorial candles to quiet conversations on street corners, the residents of Southern California are united in their hope for justice, clarity, and a future where families feel safe. This is more than the story of one household. It is the story of a community learning to confront difficult truths, acknowledge hidden realities, and find strength together. The case of Emmanuel Haro is not just a headline or a court proceeding. It is a story of hidden families, unspoken emotions, and silence that lingers behind closed doors. A father carrying feelings he cannot fully express in public. A child calling for a mother they have not seen in years. Secrets, revelations, and long-concealed truths colliding in ways that left a community searching for understanding. Tonight on DetectiveMax, we move beyond the public narrative to explore the human side of this case, the quiet struggles, the voices rarely heard, and the emotional weight of long-kept secrets. Join us as we uncover the hidden layers of a story that challenges everything we think we know about family, responsibility, and the pursuit of truth.